Well, I think the only thing that could change soon is we could see whether talks are going to continue or they're going to break. We are at a crucial decision point, and to be honest with you, I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not optimistic. I think two sides are now going home to make important political decisions, and I think if Iran continues with its demands that the United States issues guarantees that it will not walk away from the nuclear deal again, then the talks are going to break down, because democratically and legally speaking, President Biden cannot do that. Even though Iran has a right to ask for that, but this is something that President Biden cannot deliver. I'm not optimistic that the Iranians are going to accept America's decision, and therefore I think even if the Americans and the Iranians start talking directly, even more, I don't think that's going to change the upcoming negative outlook.
What might be the immediate effect, let's say, just on the Middle East, of the breakdown of these talks, the fact that diplomacy may be over in that arena? What would you anticipate to be the effect right away?
Well, we already see the escalation, the Houthis attacking the UAE. Look, there's this argument of regarding how much Iran really has control over, how much control Iran really has over the Houthis. What the Houthis did was a strategic decision. It's not a tactical decision to bring the UAE into this war directly by attacking its territory. This was a strategic decision, and although Iran may not have a say over small tactical decisions which the Houthis take, attacking the UAE is a strategic decision which would require the use of Iranian weapons, and Iran would have a say. I think it's very safe to assume that Iran would have a say as to whether Iranian missiles and Iranian UAVs are going to be used to attack UAE territory. So I think we already see the escalation, and I think if the talks break down, we run the risk of watching more similar attacks from the Houthis and other Iranian proxies in the region. I think the military option would be back on the table, although I still don't think we are close to it. But I think we would see more economic sanctions against Iran. I think the key here is the UAE, actually. There are still numerous Iranian families in UAE of Iranian origin, UAE families of Iranian origin. There are many businesses in UAE who have Iranian links, especially in Dubai, who've still not broken their relations with Iran, and I think we could see that happening now.
Now, from the Israeli perspective, and we're hearing this still from all corners of officials here, staunchly opposed to any kind of conciliatory deal that may emerge with Iran and world powers, but what scenario seems to be palatable to Israel? What outcome, in reality, is Israel looking for?
Well, Israel is looking for a no-nuclear Iran. I think this is what it seems. This is what the rhetoric is. In reality, if the Americans go back to the JCPOA, I think the State of Israel would agree to it. But Bennett and Lapid, they seem, I believe, in my opinion, that they are more open to the idea, to the opinion of the former IDF chief Eisenkot, that walking the Iranian nuclear deal was not that bad, and actually walking away from it was worse. So although we say one thing, we would accept the return to the nuclear deal for now. But the world has to take Israel's concerns regarding Iran's presence in the region more seriously, and I think after the recent attacks in the UAE, it will do so. And last but not least, on your website today, on I-24, you published a report by INSS which shows that although Iran is a danger, the majority of Israelis consider social and domestic issues in Israel a priority. So I hope
reflected in our broadcast.
Just take that into consideration as well.